In the first segment, we discussed the great tragedies that Klal Yisrael is undergoing, the importance of tefillah. In the second one, we discussed how Limud HaTorah by young and old, even or especially by Tinoiket Shel Beis Rabban, can and will serve as a powerful hishtadlus that Klal Yisrael should get through this. There's something that may be worthwhile thinking about. The events of Simchas Torah were unlike anything we've experienced since the Holocaust. But if you do the math, we can realize how difficult our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents had it. If you do the math and you realize that the killing by the Nazis, Yamach Shemoy, took place primarily from September 1939 until April 1945. That's 5 years and 8 months. And if you do the math, you see that twice as many people, more than twice as many people as were killed Loyalenu down south on Simchas Torah were butchered by the Nazis for every single day, over 2,000 days for 5 years and 8 months. Every single day, 2,900 Yidden lost their lives in the most atrocious ways. And our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents who suffered through this and who were able to rebuild their lives and to rebuild Klal Yisrael. So, as terrible as these events are, it should give us pause when we think about the events of 80 years ago. Every single day, twice as many, more than twice as many, for 5 3/4 years. Every Jew, as we mentioned before, wants to help the war effort. The Yerushalmi and Peah and the Medrash Shoichatov make an astonishing statement. They compare the lack of success in battle of Shaul to the success of Achav. Shaul was a tzaddik. Achav was a rasha. The Gemara, the Yerushalmi Peah and the Medrash Shoichatov compare the success and failure of Achav and Shaul in battle. The Gemara says that Shaul was a tzaddik, and he was a dor of tzaddikim, and he would lose in battle consistently. Achav was a rasha, and he was a generation of Oivdei Avodah Zarah, and he would succeed in battle. And the Gemara says, why? The Gemara says, because Shaul's generation had dilturim. And as the Mefarshim explained, dilturim means people who spoke badly about each other, people who spoke Lashon Hara. So even though they were tzaddikim, and Shaul was a tzaddik, they would lose the war. And in Achav's time, he was a rasha. Klal Yisrael, as the Gemara says, were very strongly Oivdei Avodah Zarah, and they would win their battles because they did not talk Lashon Hara. So let's do something. Baruch Hashem, we're not Oivdei Avodah Zarah, we're not Rishoyim, but the Gemara is giving us a battle plan. Let's fix our speech. Let's not say that piece of gossip that's at the tip of our tongues. And who knows, every time we stop, every time we refrain, every halacha we learn to make ourselves better in the areas of Lashon Hara and Rechilus and nasty speech, Dilturin, we are contributing to the war effort. We must remember, and this is central, it is HaKadosh Baruch Hu who is taking care of us. As we say in Kapitel Chav, Eile Barechav, Ve'eile Basusim. The nations of the world, Rashi says, trust their tanks and their armored carriers. V'anachnu b'shem Hashem Elokeinu naskir. But we trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu because we know that He is the only one who is the Shomer Yisrael. There's a fascinating thing in Kapitel Lamed Daled. David HaMelech describes his rescue from Avimelech, one of the kings of the Plishtim, in a mizmor spanning the Aleph base. And how does he end? He ends with one pasuk that's after Tuf. Starts again. One pasuk that summarizes everything. Poideh Hashem nefesh avodav. Hashem will redeem the lives of His servants. V'lo yeshmu kol ha'chosim boy. Kol ha'chosim boy means all who take refuge in Hashem shall not be desolated. V'lo yeshmu kol ha'chosim boy. The Vilna Gaon told his great Talmud, Reb Chaim Volozhiner, pshat in this pasuk. He told Reb Chaim, in pasuk state, the pasuk says, V'lo yeshmu kol ha'chosim boy. Steht nit Eliyahu und steht nit Chaim. He said the pasuk doesn't say Hashem will protect Eliyahu. Hashem does not say that the pasuk will protect Chaim. Kol ha'chosim boy. This means, Kol ha'chosim boy means that no matter what one's spiritual level is, no matter where a Jew is holding in the rest of his life, and this the Chafetz Chaim quotes independently, quotes the Goin. If he is choyse boy, if he trusts in Hashem, it's lo yeshmu kol ha'chosim boy. Not the Vilna Gaons only, and not only the Reb Chaim Volozhiner's, kol ha'chosim boy. So let's strengthen our understanding that we are chosim boy, that we are protected by Hashem, and then He will protect us. Poideh Hashem nefesh avodav v'lo yeshmu kol ha'chosim boy. Let's take small but real steps to strengthen our emunah. Learn a little Shar B'tochen every day. Learn the beautiful Sfarim in English and in Hebrew, which help strengthening a person's B'tochen and emunah. And this way, we too, as a part of Klal Yisrael, will be able to afford Klal Yisrael the protection of Kol HaChosim Boy. There's one more thing that we can do. For those of us who learned in Meir Yeshiva, who were Zoycha to hear Reb Chaim Shmulevitz, this is a story that he told many times. It's a famous story, but we can hear it again. Meir Yeshiva was about 100 yards from the border during the 67 war. And the entire yeshiva was in the lunchroom, which is halfway under the ground. Not a very great bomb shelter, but that's what there was. And a good part of the Beis Yisrael neighborhood didn't have bomb shelters, and they stayed there as well. So it was Meir Yeshiva with a bunch of people from the Beis Yisrael neighborhood. And as Reb Chaim described it, he said, we said Vidui many times. We learned, we had Shurim, we davened, we said Avinu Malkeinu, we said Tillim. We did everything. But let me tell you what saved Meir Yeshiva and the entire neighborhood. He says there was a woman from the neighborhood who was sitting in the other corner. I watched her. She was a person whose husband had left her 12 years before. He had walked out on her. He never gave her a get. Disgusting life. She had a wretched life because of this disgusting person. And not long after he left, she had to go take care of herself and feed her children. And she went to work as a woman who did other people's laundry. This was not like today where you just dumped it into the machine. When you did someone's laundry, that means that they made a mess and they made filth and you had to clean up their filth. And this is how she spent her days, taking care of other people's laundry so that she could have a little food to eat and a little thing to feed her children. And she got up and she said, Rabbeinu Shalom, my husband did the most terrible thing to me, and he never gave me a get till this day. We might have not have been as good, but we couldn't hurt you like my husband hurt us. And I am moichel him. Please, Hashem, be moichel us. Be moichel Klal Yisrael. And Reb Chaim would say, yes, the Torah helped, the Tefillah helped, the Vidu helped, the Tillim helped. But what saved Meir Yeshiva and the entire neighborhood was this woman breaking her midah and being moichel someone who hurt her so badly. And I'm going to make a tiny suggestion. Most people have somebody who really hurt them, I'm not talking about ongoing abuse, but something in the past. And you can't get past it. It hurts. Make it your business. It's not easy to be moichel them. You don't have to talk about it. You don't have to tell anybody. You don't even have to tell them. But really and truly be moichel them. And that is another powerful piece of ishtadlus, helping in the war effort that the Yidden in Eretz Yisrael, and for that matter, all over the world, should be kept safe. And I would like to conclude with the words of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu taught Klal Yisrael for 40 years. He was at Har Sinai for 120 days. He taught Klal Yisrael for 40 years. And the last pasuk that Moshe Rabbeinu tells Klal Yisrael seems to be interesting. We would think he would talk about Emunah, he would talk about B'tochen, he would talk about V'olachta B'drachav. Moshe Rabbeinu, in Parshas V'zayis HaBracha, which was being laid as these Yidden Nebuch were being butchered. What is Moshe Rabbeinu, the last thing Moshe Rabbeinu says to Klal Yisrael? Ashrecha Yisrael. Who is like you, Klal Yisrael? Mi kamoicha. Am noisha b'Hashem. You are continually being saved and protected by HaKadosh Baruch who is Mogen Ezrecha. He is your shield, who helps you. Asher Cherav Gavasecha. He fights your battles. This is what Moshe Rabbeinu had to tell Klal Yisrael. This is the last thing he had to teach them. And the answer is yes. Moshe Rabbeinu was there protecting Klal Yisrael. And as he is going to pass away, and Klal Yisrael knew it, they were in a panic. Who's going to protect us now? And Moshe Rabbeinu tells Klal Yisrael, no, you're an Am Noisha B'Hashem. And as the Chassam Sofer explains, sometimes you think you're doing it, and Hashem gives off that impression, so perhaps your enemies should be afraid. But it's Am Noisha B'Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu does everything for us. Your enemies can lie to you, can deceive you, or, as the pshat in the pasuk may be, can deny your right to exist. You will step on their most powerful people. You will succeed. You will overcome them. And that ultimately is the message of Simchas Torah and the message of Moshe Rabbeinu to Klal Yisrael. And this is, Mi'etz Hashem, the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu will help things turns out. Because Klal Yisrael is Ashrecha Yisrael. We are an Am Noisha Hashem.